Jane West, to be followed by Edna Duarte.
Opportunity to speak to you today. I'm here as well to address the issue of the TIRZ board reappointments, and I want to first start out by saying that I and the rest of the community are very appreciative of these community members who volunteer to serve on these boards, because it's largely a lot of work with little thanks. But I also want to point out that 3 of these board members have been serving on this board for well over 10 years. They were appointed by not just the previous administration, but 2 previous administrations, during which priorities for infrastructure improvements were different from the priorities that I believe, Mayor, you and your administration have set. And 5 years ago, some of you who were on council then, and I know Councilmember Robinson who wasn't, but he will remember, this TIRZ installed brand new brick sidewalks. TIRZ planned, funded, and implemented. Those sidewalks were not ADA compliant. Councilmember Robinson took a photograph. I refreshed his memory by sending it to him last night, and to Councilmember Cisneros, and to your staff this morning, Mayor. It wasn't entirely the TIRZ board's fault. It was partly due to public works policies. However, the issue of ADA compliancy does not seem to be something that is of high priority to this board. And I'm hopeful that before these appointments are finalized, that the administration will take the time, and council, to meet with these folks and to explain to them that the city's priorities have changed, that accessibility in general and accessibility to transit in particular is a high priority to this administration, a higher priority than it was to the administration possibly that originally appointed them. And we need to make sure that they're committed to moving forward your administration's priorities, and also to increasing the transparency and the interaction with community members, because Mr. Blinn has been working to correct this problem since at least May. And frankly, I've been very disappointed by the response that we've received from the TIRZ, which is now working, I understand.
Well, let me just say, I hadn't heard any concerns been expressed. You certainly raised them. Mr. Glenn has been here. This item will be pulled. Let me take a look at it. We won't deal with it this one tomorrow. Let me just take a look at it and talk with the people.
I appreciate it,
Sure.
Mayor. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Councilmember Stoddard.
Thank you for coming down. And Mayor, I think I have to say that you have been supportive of ADA issues, and I think when it's brought to his attention, that is one thing that I definitely will give credit for, and Mayor Pro Tem as well, that this is one administration that definitely addresses, and the previous one did as well. Sometimes we just don't know, because there's so much to cover, land to cover, and that's why I'm asking anyone that has a disability issue challenge, just like the closed captioning there, Mayor Pro Tem, that screen just needs to be tilted a little bit further, because if you're sitting in a wheelchair, he couldn't see it. That's what I went out in the hall and talked to him about it. We just have to know so we can help. That's all. I think that was, because he was trying to read it on the screen, he could see that, but he couldn't see it because it was tilted down just that little bit. Little things mean a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Yeah, let me take a look at Councilmember Cisneros.
Thank you, Jane. We've been struggling with this, trying to fix it, and it's been frustrating. And I think that the point about a philosophical point of view about ADA is a really valid concern with re-examining the nominees for this. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Mayor, for pulling it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
One second, Councilmember Kubash.
Thank you, Jane, for coming. Jane, do you know of any of the, I'm assuming we're talking about Washington Avenue.
Yes, sir.
And I know there was new construction there, a law firm was built and that, but are any of them ADA compliant along Washington Avenue from the curb? I drove down and looked here recently. I don't remember seeing any that
Many are not, but many are at least accessible, like Mr. Blinn explained this bus stop was prior to the new construction. And under city ordinance, the adjacent property owners are responsible for improving the public right-of-way when a site is fully redeveloped, as this one was. And their plans that were submitted, granted variances by the Planning Commission with support of the TIRZ and permitted, have an ADA-compliant bus stop and sidewalk on them, but that has not been implemented. So we're just asking that the city stand behind what was planned and permitted and require the developer to build that, because that's the only way. The city has very little funds.
Well, I know, and you and I did a walkthrough.
Yes, sir.
Through, you know, I'm in the 6th Ward, and I saw telephone poles in the middle of sidewalks, and I saw mailboxes stuck in the middle of the sidewalks where you couldn't navigate through there with a wheelchair at all. But thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oh, Councilmember Gallegos.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jane, for bringing this to our attention. And it's not just areas that are within TIRZ. I mean, I know that in my district, there's a senior apartments, Via's, the Winkler, there on Winkler Street. And they've been bringing that to my attention, that, you know, that they try to go to the bus stop just down the street. The sidewalk's all busted up where they actually have to travel go on the street. And they're also wanting just to get to the store on the other side of the bus stop. So I know I brought this, we tried working on this, and I'm hoping that's something that Metro can fix. We brought it to Metro's attention in the past. Unfortunately, it has not been repaired yet. Mayor, I was just wondering, in regards to Rebuild Houston, is there anything in funding from Rebuild Houston that we can use when there's a situation like this? For example, what Jane brought up, or via the Winklers, where it's a senior apartment complex, there's many seniors on wheelchairs, they're trying to go to the bus stop, or they're trying to just get to the store on the other side of the bus stop, and they're having to go on the street because the sidewalk, and you're just talking about maybe less than 2 blocks, and the sidewalks just tore up real bad to where they're having to actually go on the street.
Why don't you give me a location and let me work with Metro?
Okay, great.
If it's close to a bus stop, well, get that location to me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
May I make just a quick response? I had Ms. Souter pass out an article for you all that was published by the Chronicle last spring that chronicles some of these systemic issues, and some of them are with new construction. And in researching this project, this problem, Mayor, I've learned that the City Public Works Department does not inspect new projects for ADA compliance. They rely on the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation to do that, and that department enforces the state equivalent of the ADA, which may not be, I don't know, I haven't done all the research, but it may not be as stringent as the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that's part of why we're not seeing the improvements that we could otherwise expect in our right-of-way.
Okay, we'll check on it, Jane.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Edna Delouty.